And finally, we're going to hear from one of Radical Scotland's most committed activists, who's organised young workers for the last 3 years in PCS and is chair of the Coalition of Resistance in Scotland, and has got one of the best haircuts in Scotland. They say, you know, that you get more right wing as you get older. I didn't, she won't. Cat Boy.
I just want to start by saying thank you to everyone for coming. I think today's been great. It's been really inspirational. I went to RIC last year, like almost a year ago today, and I didn't know where it would go, but I'm so happy that it's brought me here today. And we've had interesting discussions today. We talked this morning about how Britain has failed us. We've talked about the hope we have for the future, and we've just heard from Robin talking about action that we need to take to transform our world. And we all know in this room that more of the same means more failure. All my generation has ever known is the kick in the teeth and the boot in the face from a political and economic system that told us we were worthless. And for too long, under the status quo, we've been on our knees, and we have let their ideology seep into our bones. From all parts of the left, we've turned on each other and we've scrambled for tiny scraps thrown to us from Westminster, busy focusing on ourselves that we've forgotten the bigger picture. RIC has brought together people from across the progressive political spectrum. People are here today from the anti-cuts movement, from community campaigns, peace campaigners, anti-racism campaigners, some from political parties, other independents, some who've seen it all. But the thing that holds us together is that we all want to see change. And now is the time to get up off our knees and believe that we can win. And it's more than just believing that we can win, because we've got a duty to do so. This is the biggest campaign that I've ever been involved with. It's the biggest campaign I've ever been a part of that has a plan. People in this room have a shared vision across the spectrum and an actual means to transform society, to transform our society that will benefit the lot of ordinary citizens. And I think there's something else as well, that the referendum, it's taught me something about myself, and I think it's teaching all of us something about ourselves and something that we're learning. And it's telling us that we need to remember who we are responsible to. We're responsible to each other, to our communities, to our class. We are responsible for being the change that we want to see. And I think we're very, very lucky to be learning that after all the splits, the division that we've had over the years, this referendum is starting to bring us together in a new form. Since we came together a year ago, groups have sprung up from the Highlands to the borders, from the East Coast to the West. And today represents the hard work of those local groups of radical independence campaigners and the hard work of every single one of those activists. And that's what RIC needs to be. I mean, what I mean by that is we can't hold this conference right now or next year and simply speak to ourselves. We can't just speak to the person sitting next to us. We need to speak to the people who are outside of this room. We take our lead from the local groups who've operated in their villages, their towns, their cities. That lesson we need to learn is one of the greatest responsibilities that we have, and one of the greatest opportunities that we actually have to win the vote. And I think it's always been the case that left-wing ideas will rise when we have tasks that need our ideas and our input in the real world. And let's be clear, the referendum debate needs our ideas. It needs left-wing ideas, and we need the referendum too. I don't think we're there yet, but I think after today we can see a path opening up ahead of us where we can start moving forward together. The next year will be a test. It will be a test for every single one of us. It is a test of our self-belief. It is a test of our character. It is a test of our mettle. The challenge is huge, and the challenge we face is this: can we empower enough people to believe that another Scotland is possible? Can we convince people that social justice is possible and that this opportunity is theirs for the taking? Do we have the ideas? Can we express those ideas in a way that is convincing to people who usually want nothing to do with a politics that has always failed them? Are we going to get organised to make sure we're not just talking to each other? Ultimately, do we have what it takes to win the referendum, not just on its own, but to win Scotland back for the people? And I think the answer is obviously yes. I'm quite confident in saying that. I think everyone else believes that too. We need to be confident in the ideas that we've discussed today: a Green New Deal, a national investment bank, the need for industrial democracy, community ownership. We, as a new left, need to find a way to convince thousands of other people in Scotland of these ideas too. The referendum is giving us great opportunities. It's an incredible moment in Scotland's history, a moment that I'm so proud to be a part of. We can go out and speak to people about the sort of country that they want, about the sort of country that we want. It becomes concrete. It's not just an abstract dream or idealism. It's a real thing, so let's grasp it. And we need action. I think we should start 2014 off with a bang. And from this conference today, I think announcing that come midnight on Hogmanay, we launch a campaign to do this. Through RIC, we launch a campaign called Winning Scotland. We set up Winning Scotland public forums with every local RIC group across the country, get activists together and plan exactly how we're going to win Scotland for its people. I've talked quite a lot about responsibilities, and I think that's how I feel. I feel like I've got a lot of responsibility in this referendum. We all have a massive responsibility. That after 2014, we need to make sure that politics does not belong to private capitalists, to shadow grey lobbyists who lurk in the corridors of power. We have a duty after September 2014 to ensure that the seeds we're trying to sow now about ideas of social justice, economic equality, new democracy start to bloom into something new. We have a duty to ensure that decision-making power is held in the hands of the people it will affect, not in the corporate world or by a high elite, but by citizens of a newly independent nation. When people tell me that independence isn't a class issue, I challenge them to tell me why. When I speak to my friends, my family, my colleagues at work, when I've canvassed my neighbours, they give the most articulate arguments about the opportunities for change. And underlying these arguments, I can tell when I'm speaking to people that underlying them is a desperation and a desire to make the change happen. People are talking about social justice, democracy, and people are talking about how we can get rid of Trident and reinvest that money in decent, sustainable jobs that make people feel valued. Independence is a class issue, and when we cut our country loose from the City of London, the powerful elites, without the patronage of their London paymasters and playmates, will be weak and vulnerable. They won't stay like that forever, but they will be disorientated, they will be disorganised, and we have every chance to take them on and win. Winning this referendum is just the beginning. We can't think that the future will just fall into our laps. That's why when we win the referendum, I agree with what Robin said, that we need another Radical Independence conference, and it needs to be bigger than ever in order to shape the new Scotland. We need to say from this conference today that all of us are in this for the long haul as part of the independence movement, because it's only us that can shape things and change things. And when I think about this long road ahead, like sometimes it does seem like a struggle. And as a trade unionist and a supporter of independence, I've found many of Jimmy Reid's interviews, speeches and writings a source of inspiration when it does seem like a really long road ahead. When I think about that task, winning the vote winning the referendum in 2014, transforming our nation and the world beyond it, I think it's quite easy for that to seem daunting. But there's a particular quote from Jimmy Reid that I always find kind of keeps me going on those kind of days. Because independence isn't just about currencies or constitutional questions, it's about people. And when Jimmy Reid said, the untapped potential of our North Sea oil is nothing in comparison to the untapped potential of our people, he condensed so much of what we do today. Because it's our collective power, the power that we have when we all stand together, when we convince other people to vote yes, the power that we have when our ranks swell. It's that power, ours and ours alone, that will shape the future of Scotland in 2014 and beyond.